welcome or welcome back to Emily's Too Fond of Books, where I talk about books, cry about books, and try to post at least twice a month. I'm very excited about today's video because I'm going to share with you all the books that I'm planning to read for Pride Month. I love everything about Pride Month. I love, you know, celebrating who I am, celebrating who my friends are, celebrating who you are, and getting together, you know, whether it be in person or in spirit, and just celebrating because we go through a lot as queer people and we deserve to party. So, I consume a lot of queer media throughout the year. If you know me, you know that, but I'm going a little crazy with it this month. Every single book that I read this month is going to be queer. I have a huge stack over here, and I have a couple on Kindle that I'm planning to read. So, without further ado, let's get into it. I wasn't sure which order to talk about these in, so I'm going to talk about them in alphabetical order by author's last name. At least my physical stack. I'll talk about my physical stack and then I'll talk about the two Kindle ones that I'm planning on reading. Sound good? Good. Okay. So the first book that I have here is After Love by Tanya Byrne, and I have the Fairy Loot edition. I don't have Fairy Loot, but I did buy this on Pango Books for about $10 maybe, and it's beautiful. And yes, I'm going to read this edition. I'm not going to tab it or write in it or anything, but I am going to read it because books are for reading. I'm really excited because, like, look at this cover. Hello. And the premise sounds amazing. So let's get into the premise. And I am going to be reading off of the books. I'm sorry. If that bothers you, I don't know what to tell you. I just can't summarize books on my own. So, anyway, car headlights. The last thing Ash hears is the snap of breaking glass as the windscreen hits her and shatters into a million pieces like stars. But she made it. She's still here. Or is she? This New Year's Eve, Ash gets an invitation from the afterlife she can't decline to join a clan of fierce girl reapers who take the souls of the city's dead to await their fate. But Ash can't forget her first love, Poppy, and she will do anything to see her again, even if it means they only get a few more days together, dead or alive. Like, I cannot wait to start this. I've had this for months, and I've been, like, waiting for the perfect time to pick it up, and there's no perfect time, no time more perfect than Pride Month, and that's just how it is. So I'm really excited. Next, I have a book that has been on my TBR for actual years, and the only reason why I decided to buy it finally was just like on a complete whim. I saw it on my TBR and I said, why have I never gotten that? It sounds amazing. So I did buy it again on Pango Books. Hey, Pango Books, you don't have to sponsor me. I'll give you free promo all you want, but, like, if you wanted to, that would be so cool. Anyway, it's Little and Lion, and I just love this cover. I think that it's just, like, very, I don't know what it is about it. I just really like it. But it's by Brandy Colbert. Is it Colbert or Colbert? Like Stephen Colbert. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But Brandy Colbert, and it has a Stonewall Book Award, which I think is awesome. And the back says, when Suzette comes home to Los Angeles from her boarding school in New England, she doesn't want to go back. LA is where her friends and family are, along with her crush, Emil. Or Emil? Emil? I don't know. And her stepbrother, Lionel, who has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, needs her around for emotional support. But as she settles into her old life, Suzette finds herself falling for someone new, the same girl her brother is in love with. When Lionel's disorder spirals out of control, Suzette is forced to find a way to save her brother from himself. But will he ever trust Suzette enough to let her help him? I just think that this synopsis is so interesting. I think, the mental health rep, the the sapphic rep, And just I think there's going to be a lot of themes in this around how you can't save someone from themselves, and you can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays out in here. And I'm really excited to read this. I think it's going to be interesting. And I love sibling dynamics. And I don't read step sibling dynamics that often, even though I do have a stepbrother myself. So it'll be interesting to see what that's like. So yeah, that's Little and Lion. Next up is Some Girls Do by Jennifer Dugan. This has been on my TBR for I think a year, perhaps. It was on my wish list. This was actually gifted to me by Michelle from Michelle's library. I have the little note and everything in here. And when I opened this up, I was like geeked because this cover is so, I mean, come on, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. So, anyway, and it was blurbed by Casey McQuiston, so of course I was sold. So, the synopsis goes Morgan, an elite track athlete, is forced to transfer late in her senior year after it turns out being gay is against her private Catholic school's code of conduct. Ruby loves nothing more than tinkering with her baby blue 1974 Torino. But most weekends, she's stuck living out the dreams of her mother, a former beauty queen, by competing in local pageants. Morgan and Ruby are drawn to each other, and when they're together, Ruby begins to envision a future for herself she never thought was possible. But while Morgan, out and proud and determined to have a fresh start, doesn't want to have to keep their budding relationship a secret, Ruby has never told anyone about the feelings she's denied herself for so long. With each girl at a different point on her own journey, can they go the distance together? I'm just like so excited because I love me some sapphic coming of age. I think we've got I think Little and Lion is kind of like a coming of age too. So we've got two coming of age, we got fantasy. Let's see what else we have. So the answer to what else we have is we have Love and Other Disasters by Anita Kelly. I love this cover so much. Not me hitting my computer with the book. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. I got this from Pango Books too because I did not pick this for my book of the month in January. I picked Black Cake. But sometimes you make sacrifices, and that was one of them. But anyway, I love I just I like it's big, and okay, I'm done geeking out about the physical book. Anyway, let's get into the synopsis here. Okay. Dahlia Woodson's culinary dreams are coming true. Sure, her marriage ended in a hideous explosion of misery, and she's quit her job for the gamble of a lifetime, but she's finally a contestant on the cooking show Chef's Special. Now, all Dahlia has to do is not fall on her face more than once, make the best food of her life, and try not to get distracted by her hot, incredibly dishy competition. London Parker is fighting for more than just a cooking title. Not only did they just come out as non-binary on national television, but this is an opportunity for London to raise some support and a ton of cash for the queer community. No pressure. Getting distracted by a tiny and adorable tornado like Dahlia could be disastrous. Still, somewhere among the flying fish tacos, rampant egos, and culinary chaos is something that looks a lot like delicious, spicy chemistry. But can London and Dahlia's growing relationship take the heat, or are they about to get burned? I just know I'm gonna lose my mind over this. I just know that I'm gonna lose my mind over this. I better love this. If I don't love this, I'm gonna quit reading because this checks all the boxes. I'm so excited to read this. If you didn't like it, don't tell me. Don't tell me, because I need to like this. Even though I used to think I wasn't a romance girly, I'm totally a romance girly. What can you do? So let's see what else we got. So next up is another book that I've had on my TBR for a long time, and just haven't read for some reason. And that's We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. I got this on Pango Books as well. And I even have like the little note that I received from the person I got it from. Their name is Blake. And I just think it's so special. Like when you buy from Pango Books, like sometimes people write you little notes. I always write little notes in my orders as well. It's a very sweet personal touch. So that's another reason why I love Pango Books. And here I go again with the free promo. But whatever. I'm happy to do it. Oh, and they sent me like a little bookmark. That's so sweet. But anyway, I think if you've spent any amount of time on BookTube, you probably have heard of this, but we're gonna get into the synopsis anyway. Okay, so Marin hasn't spoken to anyone from her old life since the day she left everything behind. No one knows the truth of those final weeks. Not even her best friend Mabel. Mabel, I pronounced that funny. But even thousands of miles away from the California coast, at college in New York, Marin still feels the pull of the life and tragedy she's tried to outrun. Now, months later, alone in an emptied dorm for winter break, Marin waits. Mabel is coming to visit, and Marin will be forced to face everything that's been left unsaid, and finally confront the loneliness that has made a home in her heart. An intimate whisper that packs an indelible punch, We Are Okay, is Nina LaCour at her finest. This gorgeously crafted and achingly... I'm sorry, sometimes I read words and I just can't say them. Achingly honest portrayal of grief will leave you urgent to reach across any distance to reconnect with the people you love. I think that sounds lovely. It will probably make me cry. I believe this is sapphic, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure this is sapphic. But this cover, I'm obsessed. And like, look at like the front page, and the back page is the same, and it's just so gorgeous. And I'm so excited to read this. I am ready to cry. Next, I have The Antidote for Everything by Kimmery Martin. I've heard Jessie from Bowties and Books talk about this book a lot. And every time they talk about it, I'm always like, I need to read that. I need to read that. And the time has finally come. I also got this one on Pango Books. Wait, is there a single book in the stack that I didn't get on Pango Books? No, there isn't. I got all of these on Pango Books. But, first of all, this cover, can we talk about it? Thank you. And let's get into the synopsis, because the synopsis is so interesting. Okay. So, Georgia Brown's profession as a urologist requires her to interact with plenty of naked people, but her romantic prospects have fizzled. The single most important person in her life is her friend Jonah Sukada. I think that's how you say it. A funny, empathetic family medicine doctor who works at the same hospital near Charleston, South Carolina, and who has become as close as family to her. Just after Georgia leaves the country for a medical conference, Jonah shares startling news. The hospital intends to fire doctors who provide medical care for transgender patients. Jonah, a gay man, is the first to be fired when he refuses to abandon his patients. Stunned by the predicament of her closest friend, Georgia's natural instinct is to fight alongside him. But when her attempts to address the situation result in incalculable harm, both Georgia and Jonah find themselves facing the loss of much more than their careers. I feel like this is going to make me cry. I feel like this is a really important book, or might turn out to be a very important book for me. And I'm excited to read it, but I'm also afraid. I don't know why I'm afraid. I just feel like I just feel like it's really gonna hit and it's really gonna make me cry. Not in like the cute way a romance novel would make me cry, but like a full sob. Um, so I'm excited to read it. Also a little scared. We'll see what happens. So there's that one. One more physical book on this list, and it is a book that was on another TBR that I posted. In fact, the only other TBR I posted, which was for Tis the Damn Readathon. And it was one that I didn't get to. So it's Memorial by Brian Washington. I've been planning to read this for forever, and I just haven't picked it up. And I couldn't tell you why. It just hasn't happened yet, even though I know it's gonna be good and I know that I'm gonna like it. That's not the issue. It's just like I just keep thinking there's gonna be a perfect time to pick it up. And I'm like, why can't any time be the best time? So anyway, this month is it's gonna happen this month one way or another. Even if I don't get to all of these, this will be one that I get to. So I'm going to read the synopsis so that I can explain it better than I did in my first video. Because in my first video, I thought that you had to, like, summarize it yourself and, like, make it sound interesting yourself. But you don't. You can just read the inside flap. There's no rules. There's no rules, except for the rules you make for yourself. And I'm letting myself read the inside flap. Okay, so let's get to it. Benson and Mike are two young guys who live together in Houston. Mike is a Japanese American chef at a Mexican restaurant, and Benson's a black daycare teacher. And they've been together for years. For a few years. Good years. But now they're not sure why they're still a couple. Their sex, sure. And the meals Mike cooks for Benson, and, well, they love each other. But when Mike finds out his estranged father is dying in Osaka, just as his acerbic mother, Mitsuko, arrives in Texas for a visit, Mike picks up and flies across the world to say goodbye. In Japan, he undergoes an extraordinary transformation, discovering the truth about his family and his past. Back home, Mitsuko and Benson are stuck living together as unconventional roommates. Wait. Oh my god, they are roommates. Okay. An absurd domestic situation that leads Benson to a deeper understanding of family and himself. Benson begins to push outward, realizing he might just know what he wants out of life and have the goods to get it. Both men will change in ways that will either make them stronger together or fracture everything they've ever known. And just maybe they'll all be okay in the end. Memorial is a funny and profound story about big first loves, family in all its forms, becoming who you're supposed to be, and the limits of love. And I'm just like, that just sounds, it sounds like it's gonna hit. It sounds like it's gonna make me cry very hard. I think like these like big three, and with like a special mention to We Are Okay, or big four are all gonna make me cry, but like for different reasons and like with different and to different degrees. So that's my physical TBR for Pride Month. But let's talk about my Kindle TBR and my audio TBR, because we gotta do that. I have one book for my audiobook TBR. I'm not going crazy with that because it takes me forever to listen to audiobooks. But I have Love That Story, Observations from a Gorgeously Queer Life by Jonathan Van Ness. I love Jonathan Van Ness. And the cover is so cute. I don't know how to put like pictures up on the screen in my videos yet, but this cover is so cute. I encourage you to look it up. So the synopsis reads, Queer Eye star Jonathan Van Ness dives into his favorite subjects in Love That Story, a new collection of heartfelt and entertaining essays. From experiencing heartbreaking grief to uncovering the hidden LGBTQ history of his hometown, Quincy. From overcoming body image issues and living with HIV to cultivating his personal style, JVN speaks out a wide range of topics with heart, honesty, and flair. He not only shares his personal experiences, but with the help of conversations with experts, he also offers captivating perspectives on the wide number of issues we are dealing with today. The current nature of race issues in the US, the rise of white supremacy, transphobia, and imposter syndrome. Love That Story is not just the story of JVN, but the story that we are writing together. And I love that, particularly the last line, because I feel like, the whole history of queer people has been a history that we have all been writing together, um, as corny as that might sound. So I'm really excited to listen to that. I love JVN, I'm such a big fan of Queer Eye. I actually haven't even finished the newest season because I just don't want it to end, so I haven't been able to finish it, but I will eventually. So that's it for my audiobooks. Let's go over to my Kindle TBR. Kindle TBR, I only have 2 books on it. And the first one is Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake, which has been an anticipated book this year, but I haven't picked it up yet. Just because I don't know why. I just didn't. Even though I have the stickers from the pre-order campaign and everything, I just haven't picked it up yet. So, the synopsis goes, Delilah Green swore she would never go back to Bright Falls. Nothing is there for her but memories of a lonely childhood where she was little more than a burden to her cold and distant stepfamily. Her life is in New York, with her photography career finally gaining steam and her bed never empty. Ooh. Sure, it's a different woman every night, but that's just fine with her. Hey, go on, girl. When Delilah's estranged stepsister, Astrid, pressures her into photographing her wedding with a guilt trip and a 5-figure check, Delilah finds herself back in the godforsaken town that she used to call home. She plans to breeze in and out, but then she sees Claire Sutherland, one of Astrid's stuck-up besties, and decides that maybe there's some fun and a little retribution to be had in Bright Falls after all. Having raised her 11-year-old daughter mostly on her own while dealing with her unreliable ex and running a bookstore, Claire Sutherland depends upon a life without surprises, and Delilah Green is an unwelcome surprise at first. Though they've known each other for years, they don't really know each other, so Claire is unsettled when Delilah figures out exactly what buttons to push. When they're forced together during a gauntlet of wedding preparations, including a plot to save Astrid from her horrible fiancé, Claire isn't sure she has the strength to resist Delilah's charms. Even worse, she's starting to think she doesn't want to. And I love a good rom-com these days, and I love a good queer rom-com, so I'm really excited to read that. Last book that's on my Pride TBR, and also the last on my Kindle TBR for June, is a book that I just found out about today, but I'm really excited about it nonetheless. It's not even out yet. I immediately had to have a Kindle version pre-ordered because I was just so excited. It's called Out of the Blue by Jason June, and the cover immediately grabbed me. Look that cover up. But the synopsis goes, Crest is not excited to be on their journey. The month-long sojourn on land all teen merfolk must undergo. The rules are simple. Help a human within 1 moon cycle and return to Pacifica to become an elder, or fail and remain stuck on land forever. Crest is eager to get their journey over and done with. After all, humans are disgusting. They've polluted the planet so much that there's a floating island of trash that's literally the size of a country. In Los Angeles, with a human body and a new name, Crest meets Sean, a human lifeguard whose boyfriend has recently dumped him. Crest agrees to help Sean make his ex jealous and win him back, but as the two spend more time together and Crest's perspective on humans begins to change, they'll soon be torn between 2 worlds, and fake dating just might lead to real feelings. I am so excited about this because mer people, you guys. Mer people. I think I could have just said mer people or merfolk, and you would have been sold, just like I was. I was already sold like before I was done reading the first paragraph of that synopsis. I immediately was like, yes. So I'm definitely gonna get to that in June. Just as I am hopefully going to get to the rest of them. That is it for my massive, ambitious Pride Month TBR. um, if you believe in me, that's great. If you don't believe in me, I don't blame you because I don't know how it's gonna go, but I'm gonna try to get to as many of them as possible. If you liked this video, make sure you hit the like button. That really helps me out. And if you're the nicest person in the world, maybe you could subscribe. That would be that would be so cool. I always tear up a little bit when I get a new subscriber. So, talk to me in the comments down below. I love talking to people in my comments, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.